Okay. Hello, everyone. I do apologise for the fact that we are running late, but we're here now, and we'd like to introduce Chris to you. I know a lot of you people already know who he is because you've already been commenting throughout the week saying how you were looking forward to talking to him and seeing him on screen. So we've already got some watchers already. We've got a whole load of questions for you, so I hope you don't mind.
I don't mind.
That's fantastic. How are you today? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm a little tired. The last 2 nights I did 2 investigations. So I did Rolling Hills Asylum and Wildwood Sanitarium. So I didn't get too much sleep yet.
Oh, bless you. And how did they both go?
Both very active. Still have to go through a lot of evidence, but I had a lot of personal experiences, especially last night at Wildwood Sanitarium. That place was crazy last night. We were seeing shadow figures everywhere, and it was pretty nuts.
Shadow figures. That's so cool. And what were personal? Can you tell us about the personal experience you had? I'm intrigued now.
We at one point when I went upstairs, I was going up there by myself to go see what was going on because we kept hearing footsteps. And when I went in, I saw a shadow like run into the other room, and like I ran in there to make sure, like I knew there was nobody up there because everybody was downstairs. So when I ran up in there was nobody in there, and we had those little motion sensor balls. They're like cat balls, and they were going off in the. They had like a doll room that has like a crib and all these creepy dolls, and sorry, I'm losing my voice. And so all the 2 of the balls were going off one after another. We actually have it on film too.
Oh, cool.
And, a lot of my friend has a DR60, and we were getting almost every question. We were getting responses. We ended up talking to I think his name was Jacob, and Dan had told me, Dan Class, who owns the Hinsdale house, told me that. Pretty sure he told me that there was a kid, Jacob, that was there. Because it was a sanitarium. It was a they used to put insane people there. It was also tuberculosis, poor farm kind of thing. So.
Cool. So, like, Hinsdale House. Let's talk about that. That's okay. We've already got questions coming in, but we've got so many of our own as well. But there's some that we want to get in ourselves. So, firstly, anyone that doesn't know, it's obviously over in the UK, not everyone does. Tell us about the Hinsdale House.
Hinsdale is a farmhouse in the middle of nowhere, upstate New York. It became popular from a family that lived there in the 70s called the Dandy family. And they had a lot of experiences. They've had UFO sightings on site because you're in the middle of the mountains. So like the sky is clear and you could see a lot of stuff. And the haunting actually came from the outside. Like at one point it came, into the house when the family was living there. But even before the Dandy family was there, Ed and Lorraine Warren had went in there and investigated the house. I don't know if they investigated, but they were at the house. So I'm guessing that the haunting was way before that. But it's definitely one of a kind though. Like you go outside and you see elementals like blue lights floating around. You hear disembodied voices. It's not a kind of place that you even need the EVP recorder half the time. You hear the voices talking. I mean, you can't really understand them, but you hear them.
So you get a lot of EVPs.
Oh yeah, a lot of EVPs. We got one. It was in the end of June. I was there with another team called Beyond the Graves, and he has a DR60. Same guy I investigated with last night.
Oh, cool.
And we were sitting at the kitchen, and you're supposed to leave about 10ish, but because I'm friends with Dan, we waited a little longer, so it was like 10:30. And we asked, do you have any last things to say? Well, no, we didn't even ask a question yet, and it said, "It's over. Get out." Like clear as day on the DR60. It was so intelligent. It knew we weren't supposed to be there still. They were like, "All right, your thing is up. You got to go." Like, it was kind of like police in the house. It was weird. It was really creepy though.
Okay, Dennis has got a whole load of his own questions, so we'll get straight into it, and you can ask one of your first questions, Dennis.
There's a film that's been made about it. I've read. Do you think it's as accurate as the stories that are been told?
Like active, or are you talking about the the
accurate? Do you think the film is accurate to the real stories there?
The one that was just on
the recent one.
Yeah, the Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
I think it was on. I actually didn't see it, but I know Dan was very pleased with it, so I'm pretty sure it's pretty accurate.
And Dan's the owner, isn't he?
Yes, Dan Class is the owner.
Yeah, I've spoken to him, and hopefully we've chatted about you doing this today, and he's going to take part in the next time we do an event, which would be fantastic to get both of you on. Him being the owner and you being the investigator there, so it'd be really good to talk to both of you next time. So tell us a bit more about you, Chris, your background, how you got started, about your team.
Well, I grew up in a haunted house. I was having experience since I was about 7. It only really happened to me. I mean, there was a couple of experiences my brother experienced, and my grandfather had a couple of experiences when he first bought the house in the 50s. And which is weird because he was the original owner of the house. So nobody lived in that house before us. There was no house there. So I don't even know why it was haunted. And I don't know why my voice is like this. It just happened out of nowhere as soon as we went on. So, I grew up, parents would take me to like, counselors and stuff because they thought maybe I was like, I had mental problems, So, later in life, as the ages went by, the experiences started slowing down, and I ended up moving out of the house when I was 15. And so maybe a couple of years later, I was like, I'm not showing any of the signs of being crazy. So I decided to start investigating myself. Around the age of 19, I would go with those little old tape recorders with the little tapes in them, and I would get EVPs. I would go to abandoned insane asylum near my house, and I would get EVPs. And then, then all the shows started in 2000s. Paranormal State, Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures. So it got more popular, and so I pretty much started investigating just to make sure I wasn't crazy. I didn't know. I honestly didn't know. I could have, I know people that were insane and have seen stuff like that. I mean, look at the Amityville Horror House. Ronnie DeFeo killed his whole family because he thought voices were telling him to do it. Not saying that didn't happen, but he definitely shows signs that he is definitely crazy, because, 5 minutes from the Amityville Horror House, actually. And, I know people that actually knew him, and they all said that he was crazy, like he was nuts. Doesn't mean the house wasn't haunted, because there was people that have had, gotten evidence there. So,
So I've got a question for you already. I'll ask the last question that came up, and we'll work backwards. What was on the grounds of your house that you grew up in before your house? Do you know?
I looked it up, and it was pretty much just Native American land. Like, they had, there probably could have been. I didn't see anything for like a house that was there before, but there could have been a house or something like that, or that got knocked down before that one was built. Because this is the time, like after World War II, when they started building all the Levittown kind of towns, where all the houses were next to each other. So
it could have been the fact that the ground was rather than.
I mean, pretty much anywhere in the world, there's probably been somebody that died there.
Oh yeah, of course. John wants to know what's been your most interesting case.
Well, our team is mostly residentials. We do go to like Hinsdale House and stuff like that. That's more for like research, but we like to help families, especially because I was one of those people that wasn't, I actually tried to contact Ed and Lorraine Warren. Never got back to me, but I tried to contact them when I was a kid because I would watch all the shows on TV about it. Like, I forget what they were, like unexplained files kind of shows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so not really sure, like.
Okay.
But my most interesting case would probably be I was working with another team that I work with called Shell Shack Paranormal, and he actually is ordained from the church to do removals, and we actually went on a demonic case, and let me tell you, like I was thinking like, oh, whatever, I'm not 100% sure if demons are real and stuff like that. I've seen people have dark hauntings, and but just be an asshole spirit. If you're an asshole in life, you're gonna. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm about to curse on here. But this while we were doing, we were hearing growls. Everybody got every investigator we were with got sick. We had to leave the house for a little while. Came back, and when he's ordained. This guy I work with is ordained from the church to do removals like that. And when he started doing deliverance on her and doing the exorcism of the, he was. I don't know if it was an exorcism. It was more of like a deliverance. Because she wasn't possessed, she was oppressed. And
Right.
she started vomiting blood out of her nose and her mouth, like profusely. And it was just nuts. Like I literally heard a growl, sounded like there was a wolf like right in my face. Like, you gotta see the video. My eyes are like shot up, like I was freaked out.
And can we get access to that video anywhere, like on YouTube or anything? Or on a website? Or...
Well, his website is on Facebook, but he doesn't put up the whole, but that part where the lady did the thing that, he wasn't have that on video because.
Oh, okay. That's fair enough.
Okay. You're part of Trinity Paranormal Investigations Long Island.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about their team?
We're a Christian-based team. We're all, Christians. And, we go by the book, like we don't call out spirits, we don't ask to be touched, stuff like that. We just go in. You're gonna get touched anyway. You don't have to be asked to be touched, And but one of the person I work with the most, my friend Kat, Maria, she is somewhat of a sensitive empath. Not really sure, but she freaks me out. Like we'll be like at a place with the, we won't hear it at the time. You hear like, oh, I heard that. And then when we're listening back, sure enough, almost every single time you hear something on the EVP, like something saying she heard it with her own ears. So I guess maybe she's clairaudient.
Yeah.
And so we seem to get we're a very big evidence team. We get a lot of EVPs. We got, we don't really do photos because there's too much people like, bash, oh, you could have did this, you could have did that. Maybe there's too many critics, sitting home.
Yeah, I agree with that. So
there's never been an investigation.
So with your tech wise, do you go down more the video route then to get evidence in? You said you use orders for EVP and everything. So obviously you do a lot of research because like us, we think the research is really important to go and do all the research side of things, to learn about places and learn what was there and who's there and who you can communicate with and so on. I think it's really important to the research. What sort of technology do you go to? What is your go-to kit apart from a recorder?
I like to do spirit boxes. I've been doing a lot of research, and I'm not one of the persons like when I first heard it, I'm like, there's no way that works. Like, but I'm not the kind of person that's just to say, all right, that doesn't work. I have a scientific mind, so I'm like, well, let me at least try it out. Like, I'm not going to say it doesn't work if I've never done it. Like, that's ridiculous to do that. So I started doing it, and I was getting responses that seemed to be direct responses to what I was asking. We tried the SD, method. We put it, the thing, and you don't hear the question, so you're not biased for the answer, and we're still getting answers. I mean, we would sometimes even get the same voice on a regular EVP and then on the spirit box, the same exact voice. So, I mean, how is that even possible? Like,
now that is evidence. If you're getting the same voice through different types of kit, then it's just not possible. Otherwise, is it?
No, it's not possible. Definitely something there. What it is, there's so many theories out there. Can't really go to that, but I mean, I'm sure some of them people that are passed on. Some of them might be like into, some kind of other dimension. Maybe there's, sometimes communicating with angels and demons or whatever religion, you are. There's word for those kind of things for any religion. They all talk about angels, demons. Babylonians talked about the Anunnaki and what they had when they always depicted with wings. So I'm thinking that's like the same thing as the Christian based or Judaism based angels that they talk about in the Bible or any ancient text.
For the poltergeist house, basically they thought about what was going on. There was an active imagination. And do you think because they brushed it all off, and that's what increased the activity? Because what I've read is that they seen some faces outside. They went outside to go see the faces, and the faces were back in the house. And then from there, it just seemed to escalate. Do you think the lack of respect for what was there before is what give it its reputation?
Well, the Hinsdale house we're talking about?
Yeah.
I can tell you from firsthand that place is 100% one of the most haunted places I've ever been. Like you just feel the energy. You go in there, you just feel it's like. But yeah, I mean, of course there was a hype. I don't think there's a demon there. Like like maybe they got rid of it back in the 70s, or because there was an exorcism in the house. So maybe they got rid of it then, and maybe now it's just a regular spirit. But there's a lot of Native Americans there, and there's a couple of spirits that don't like you to be there, and then there's some spirits that want you to be there. A lot of people think that the house is also a topa, where people created the energy, like by believing it's haunted, But I think the house was always haunted. There's so many different myths and legends about these two brothers who used to rob stagecoaches, and then they would murder them, and then they would bury them in the basement. Well, they would put them in the basement until, because it would be wintertime. Back then, they didn't have stuff to dig up the ground when it was cold and hard. So they used to, store bodies in the basement. And I mean, Dan would definitely be able to go better into that than I can. But it's definitely reputation for cheese and stuff. It's definitely haunted. There's still a lot of questions out there, but they're definitely getting a lot of answers. And I'm pretty sure, I'm not sure when it's coming out, but it's coming out sometime at the end of the year. There's a documentary that Nick Groff did there, and it's going to be out on VidiSpace and Amazon Prime. So I think they're going to get, they've done ground penetrating radar there, and that's not for me. I'm not allowed to say anything about that. So I'm not sure if that's even public knowledge yet, what they found, but there's definitely a lot going on there.
Martha, I believe she's part of the team, said she loves the Hinsdale house and she had a called there.
Yes, Martha's our teammate. Yeah, she was just there with us in May. I went in the last 3 months. I went there twice.
Yeah,
I'm actually I'm 20 minutes from there right now.
Oh, was that it? Literally 20 minutes.
That's why I'm on my phone, because I'm on the investigations. I'm about 7 or 8 hours away from my house. So.
Oh wow. Now I've got the question for you. Do you still favour full spectrum cameras as a piece of kit on investigations?
Oh, absolutely. We only see 1% of the visual spectrum. So there's a 99% we don't see. And if you're seeing all the different spectrums, it's going to show you things that you can't really see with the naked eye. But yeah, I mean, infrared's good too, but you need the full spectrum because the ultraviolet light, they say that's also the reason why cats can see spirits or dogs, because they can see in the full spectrum. They can see more than we can. They can see at night, stuff like that. If you can see at night, you have to have some kind of infrared or night vision,
So what other evidence have you picked up at Hinsdale? Because you've done it probably more times than anyone else, I imagine, because you go there quite, like you said, you go there quite a lot, don't you?
Yes, I don't know about the most. Dan's been there a lot, and his team has been there hundreds of times. I've only been 5 times. But yeah, we've gotten EVPs, with direct responses. We've heard them talking about us. Like we've gotten EVPs where there was 2 different spirits talking about us. We've been told to get out. We've tried all different spirit apps, spirit boxes, regular EVPs, you name it. Like we've gotten pictures of You know, I know the whole controversy about orbs, like, you know, oh, it's dust, it's this, but you could tell the difference of something, you know, that's dust where it's just floating, or something that actually looks like it's, you know, and you like it looks different. Like it looks like sometimes you even see a little face in there, like, you know. So we catch orbs there all the time. Uh, Personal experiences, I've had seen shadow figures walk right up to me in Mary's room. I saw a woman. I was coming from Wildwood where I was last night. This is back in December, and they were, you know, the guy whose team I was with is one of the guys who opens up the house for Dan for tours, you know, because Dan can't always be there.
Yeah.
So he was like, "Oh, you want to go to the Hinsdale house? You know, we're just gonna go there and hang out for a couple hours." I'm like, "Yeah, definitely." So we went there, and he had to close up Wildwood because he was doing the tour there too. So I drove up there. It's about 20 minutes from Wildwood. They're about, you know, maybe a half hour. And it was snowing out, and it was ice on the road, and you're in the middle of nowhere on dirt roads going there, like, you know, into where it is. There's a big dirt road to go down. So I go there, and I like, as I'm pulling in, you pull into the driveway, the lights, I saw a woman walking towards the pond. And like, you know, I'm thinking maybe it's a person, but it's like freezing cold out. They look like they had like a nightgown on. So I got a little freaked out. I turned the car back around and I pulled out like into the street just in case there was like somebody there. Because they do have problems with people showing up there and trying to break into the house all the time. So I'm thinking maybe it's a person. So one of the guys, Brad, got there and he's like, all right. I told him what happened. He's like, all right, let's go see. Maybe it was a deer or something he saw, or, you know, maybe it's a person. We looked and it was all fresh snow. There was no footsteps at all. No deer footsteps, no human footsteps. And I mean, it was like 30 degrees outside. There was no way a woman was walking out there. It was that cold out. You know, you're in the mountains. It's, you know, it's called the Enchanted Mountains.
That's mad.
Do you have any you want to plug, like a YouTube community where we could see investigation from you and all the team?
I have a couple of the videos that I did when I don't put that on my YouTube, but we do have a lot of evidence on Trinity Paranormal Investigations of Long Island on YouTube. But my page is Chris's Paranormal Exploration. And you know, I put the raw videos out there. I don't edit it. I just put them on there. It's kind of for myself more than, you know, get followers and stuff like that, just so that I have it out there and I can take it off my camera, you know, or my computer.
Yeah, well, that's good because like people can go on that, and I think the raw footage is the best footage when it's not been edited and so on. So, you know, so you can go through it, have a look, and actually see the raw footage itself. It's always better when editing because you don't know what's been edited, and when you have edited things, sometimes you could miss something and get rid of something, not even realizing you have.
Yeah, exactly.
Manager said, it's interesting what you say about how cats see and give spectrum to us. She said, my cat often stares at stuff that isn't visible to us, which we tend to dismiss.
Yeah, because we don't know, like, sometimes like with like my dog, like he'll be looking in my, you know, because my house is haunted now, and he'll be looking in the kitchen, and I don't know, you know, if he's seeing something that's I can't see or hear something that I can't hear, or is he hearing something 2 blocks away because of their hearing so good? You know, I never really know. Or a cat too, like their hearing. I think dogs' hearing is a little bit better than cats, and the cats can see better. I'm not really sure. Like, you know, I'm not a scientist to animals, so I wouldn't really know that kind of stuff. I know that cats definitely can see stuff that we don't.
So do you do any lives at all, Chris, at any point? I know we can look on your page. We will put all the links on. We want to get all the links on here for your YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and your page and your team's page and everything. So people can go on there and look you up and find out all information about you and your team. How long have you actually been with your team for? Did you set the team up?
No, this was set up before me. They've all actually been a team, I think, a little over 2 years, coming up on 3 years. I've been with them for a little over a year. You know, I've worked with other teams. I mostly did it by myself, you know.
Yeah, that was my next question. So you went already.
Yeah, we do lives a lot though. I did a live last night actually about 3 o'clock in the morning, 2:30 in the morning. We did it live. It was very dark, but it was mostly about the spirit, the plasma box that we were using, the phasma box or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
And,
because it's called different names to ours, but it's pretty much like the same sort of kit. It's just got a different name.
Yeah.
Got a question. What's your view on mirrors as portals and also scrying with them during investigations?
Well, I don't do scrying because it's kind of like I don't do Ouija boards. I don't do any of the occult. But I do believe that mirrors, not all of them, but can be made into a portal or maybe a certain kind of glass that does it. You know, like because it's usually you don't really see new mirrors being, you know, you don't hear that all the time. It's mostly those old, you know, school mirrors that they used to make back in the day by hands and stuff that use, you know, it's all about the intent, I believe, you know. Same reason why some teams can go to a place, not get any evidence, and then some teams go there and they get like crazy evidence. You know, it's because the spirits know your intention. They know if you go into there like, you know, with your camera just to try to get a little evidence and show, you know, and become famous. Or they know if you go in there to actually help them, you know. Because we do try to help spirits too.
That was the next thing I was going to ask you about. You do a lot of help in that respect. And in what way do you do that? Like you help the general people, don't you?
Yeah, well, I mean, because of my faith, we tell them that we had to ask for forgiveness by God, and you know, and then we tried to cross them over. Like, you know, we tried to explain to them, you got to ask for forgiveness, and that you're stuck. You know, like, you know, but you can go somewhere better. I mean, obviously, I don't know that 100% because you know that's why they call it faith. You have to, you know,
Yeah.
it's not something you can know for sure you know what happens after life. But for me, I mean, I was an actual alcoholic, and I was out there. Like didn't think I was gonna survive. And one day it left me after I prayed. And ever since then, you know, I try to help other people the same way. So I know there's something out there that created me. What it is, I don't know. Is it what the Bible says? You know, there's also you go into all the lost books of the Bible that you know the church took away. You know, like and those stuff they're more metaphysical. Like they talk about like how you have to believe it in your heart and then it'll happen. Like you create your own reality kind of thing. But I guess I won't know until I die, right? Or maybe that's the or if a ghost actually one time actually tells us stuff. Like they don't seem to want to tell us anything what's happening in afterlife.
Yeah, I was going to say that. You always ask those questions. Every investigator asks those questions, but you never get an answer. And like you said, we won't know until we're there ourselves. And hopefully, that won't be for a very, very long time for any of us that are in this conversation at the moment.
During any investigations, have you found that you've had anything follow you back home or any of the team?
Pretty sure I have before. You know, it seems the more haunted locations I go to, the more haunted my house is. I feel like once they realize that you can communicate with them, and like what you're, you know, they want to communicate, so they try to, you know. But you know, I always pray. I try to pray. Well, I always pray, but I don't think sometimes it doesn't work. But I definitely get some evidence. But then I just keep praying, and sooner or later it goes away. You know, like. But I never had anything negative, like, you know, that just try to destroy my life or anything like that. I never had anything like that follow me home. If it's anything, it's just a spirit that's curious or wants to communicate. Maybe it needs help, wants to get a message across to somebody that's still alive, maybe, or at least, you know. But no, never anything negative.
Well, that's good. Another question: do you always pull spirit over, or do you leave them where they are if they are happy to stay?
Well, that's pretty much up to them. If they're looking for help, I'll help them. But I mean, obviously, I'm not going to go to the Hinsdale house and start crossing spirits over because it's not my house, and it's always up to we go, you know, we get called to a residential. We go in, we collect the evidence. We look up, you know, we find a history out of the house, who used to live there, and we present that stuff to the homeowner. If they want us to do the removal, we do it. If they don't, we don't do it because it's not, you know, like you're not going to go to like say you go to Waverly Hills and you start like trying to cross the spirits over, I think they're going to be a little mad at you, because that's how they're making money off of it. I mean, which is another thing, like, that's each their own, but, you got to find out the story, you got to find out what's going on.
It's going somewhere, finding the evidence, finding out people's stories. Surely that's what we all go for, is to go for research, to find the evidence, and to find out the story of who's there and why they're there. That way we know if they need, we know if they need help or not. Like you said, if they're happy to be there, or whether they're seeking someone to come and help them to move on.
Yeah, it's sad though. Like, you gotta help me all the time. We get it all the time. It's like, help me, and like, how do we help you? Like, and half of the times we'll get the EVP and we're a long way away from there, and I'm like, and then we feel obligated. We got to go back, and especially my teammate Kat, she's she senses all that stuff, so it's like a little different for her. For me, I'm looking for more of the waiting for that EVP or the But I think the more I've been in the paranormal, the more I've been investigating, like with equipment and stuff like that, I feel like I'm becoming more sensitive to it. Because I believe we all have, born abilities that, sixth sense. It's just that we lose it over time because we're constantly told when we're kids, no, there's no such thing as ghosts. There's no monster under your bed. You can't, nobody can tell the future. There's no such thing as spirits. So, we become desensitized to it. And plus, I think there's other things, way we eat and stuff like that. I noticed that when I became a vegan, I go on and off with the vegan thing, but when I'm not eating meat, I seem to be more sensitive to it and stuff like that. Really? I don't know why that is. Yeah. And also, I stopped fluoride the only thing is, like, I'd still take a shower in it, but I don't drink from the faucet because of all the fluoride. I don't know if you guys in UK have that, but in the United States, they put fluoride in it. And fluoride actually has to be contained in a special, they say it's good for your teeth too. I don't believe that. It's known to calcify your pineal gland, which is your third eye. It's the thing that gives people their sixth sense. So it 99% calcifies it. So you have no abilities, no intuition or anything like that. But once I cut that out, my life changed. I was completely different. And I guess you could call it an awakening in a way. I started seeing repeating numbers everywhere, synchronicities, having weird dreams, and somewhat they would happen in real life. Nothing big, like I'm not like predicted the end of the world or anything. But like I'll have a dream and all of a sudden, like 2 or 3 days, almost like deja vu. But I remember that I dreamt it like this time. Usually like you'll have deja vu, you're like, wow, I think I did that before. But this time I'm like, oh my God, I just dreamt about that 3 days ago. What the heck?
So it's almost like a but by dream.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Well, I think that's when you go into the spiritual worlds, when you dream.
Yeah, I believe that. Because you're not in control, it's your subconscious and so on, rather than your conscious, where you're battling all the time to not have that interaction and to ignore things more. If you're not that kind of down that sort of route of things, like myself, you will disregard things that you hear or pick up on and so on, because we're in a modern world and not everybody's beliefs these days, do they? So we're all quite skeptical.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to say thank you, Chris, for joining us. I apologise for the issues earlier. I apologise to you, Chris, as well. Hopefully you'll join us in the future and we can have a longer conversation, and hopefully you won't be so exhausted from the last 2 nights of investigating. Like, we know it's bad enough doing one night, let alone 2 in a row, and then to come on and do an interview with us today. We really do appreciate that, especially as you got a lot of sleep deprivation and so on. So go and get some rest, go and rehydrate, and look after yourself, and I will be in contact with you in the future. Thank you everybody that's been commenting and asking your questions. Thank you for answering our questions.
Thank you.
And I will be in contact with you very soon. Go and get some rest, and thank you for joining us. A lot of people are saying thank you in the comments as well. And Martha said thank you and stay safe. You too, Martha, and thank you for commenting and joining us. And we get your links on there so people can find you and look you up.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers,
Take
Chris.
care.
Bye.
All right. Good night. Well, good morning. All right, bye.